All right, so here we go. We got some very big news to go over today about all things Battlefield 6. According to recent data mining, Battlefield 6 is getting a whopping 9 new game modes, which is concerning a lot of the community and for good reason. The big question is, will this ultimately divide the player base too much? And are the game modes any good in the first place? Plus, we have a very big warning not to use a certain skin in the game or you'll find yourself at a major disadvantage. This is actually a big bug, so don't do this until this is fixed. And did Battlefield 6 just get review bombed? Is there any truth to the new negative reviews? So what's going on here? We're going to dive into it. And yes, I'm going over your top comments later in the video. But you know what? Check this out right here. All right, so yes, we've got to talk about the next big open world MMORPG that is definitely on my radar, and that is Sword of Justice. And what I love about Sword of Justice is despite it being an MMORPG, it also caters to the single-player crowd as well, and there's no risk in trying it because it is free to play with no pay-to-win elements at all. Monetization is almost exclusively focused on cosmetics, that's skins and outfits, with character progression and power-up methods that are fair for all players. And let me tell you what, both the RPG progression system and customization options in this game are deep and rewarding. And thankfully, no, it doesn't feel like you have to commit to a second job like a lot of these other grindy free-to-play titles out there, which is really nice. So yeah, join me right now in Sword of Justice and download the game for free on PC or mobile by following that link in the description below, so be sure to check it out. But there's also some really standout features of Sword of Justice that we gotta talk about. The first being, this open world is truly alive with NPCs that remember who you are, and a deep reputation system with surprising outcomes and branching narratives. You can even develop romantic relationships, join brotherhoods, sisterhoods, and have mentors of your own. The single-player experience here is amazing for an MMORPG, and it doesn't hurt that the game is a true AAA experience in terms of both features and visuals. It's a truly beautiful game. And PvE, by the way, supports smart dungeon-capable AI companions that you can recruit. And there's also optional PvP to test your skills. You can even join large community guilds and prepare for raids. And Sword of Justice is packed with a crazy amount of content while offering a deep narrative experience. So be sure to follow that link in the description below and download Sword of Justice right now for free on PC and mobile. See you in the game. And also a very special thank you to Sword of Justice for sponsoring this video. All right, so back to the news here. I say we start out with the most important info first and foremost, starting out with this very important PSA. Check it out here. Do not use the gold standard skin for the main battle tanks Leo A4 and the M1A2. There's currently an issue which is causing a massive unintentional weak spot from the entire front, around 70% damage without armor upgrade and 64% damage with armor upgrade versus one single RPG. Absolutely ridiculous. And the Chimera skin for the M1A2 is also having a massive weak spot from head up front with the radar plate. So you have been warned there for the gold standard and Chimera. And I guess there's some other issues as well that DICE needs to look into when it comes to skins, but I'm sure that this sort of thing is on their radar. This one definitely needs to be fixed for sure. Now, the good news is more content is being developed right now for Battlefield 6, and I cannot wait for this next new map. I think that map is going to be the highlight of Season 1, but there are some concerns around how things might get oversaturated when it comes to game modes. Check it out right here. 9 new game modes are in development for Battlefield 6's post-launch content, and this is according to recent data mining. Now, let's get into some of the details as we scroll down here. Check it out. So here's the highlight. So yeah, out of this data mine, 2 game modes have been confirmed: Sabotage and Strike Point. And they go on to mention Raid, Payload, Squad Shootout, and Tank Hunt remaining for the original 6. Those have yet to be confirmed, but they did mention within the game files, Insider Gaming has also discovered 5 new game modes, which are labeled prototypes currently, and are seemingly very early in development. They say this, that we can expect Convoy, Fantastic Four, Gunmaster, Touchdown, and Tug of War. The strings of the files are also as followed. And they did mention that Gunmaster would be expected to be kind of like gun game mode, where you would see your weapon upgraded or changed per kill. Is this something you guys would like to see? And this has actually stirred up a lot of conversation for sure. A lot of people are like, hey, you know what? We just want DICE to focus in on what they do best, and that is the core experience. That is going to be Conquest, of course, and Rush mode, which brings us to this Reddit thread right here, which had a lot of opinions, really good opinions, by the way. So let's get into this. So it says, my God, how many game modes do we need? No wonder it's now Battlefield 6. That's a good point because, you know, if you introduce too many game modes, you have the audience kind of splinter out and separate to all these different game modes, and then you fill those spots with bots. I think DICE needs to be very, very cautious with how many game modes they actually introduce in the long term. We also have another interesting take right here. They already struck gold with escalation. Just focus on it and bring us some big maps where it can properly shine. A lot of people agreeing with this one, 193 upvotes. I really want to see them double down on things like escalation, rush mode, and again, conquest. That's where it should be at least in my opinion. And I also have this take right here. This is how communities die. Over time, less people will play, and more game modes split everyone up, forcing longer wait times and more bots. Yeah, I just think it's safer to focus on what people are here for, and that is the core game mode experience. Conquest, rush, escalation seems to be very popular. Let me know what you guys think DICE should really double down on. Now, we got to talk about those recent negative reviews for Battlefield 6. Some people are calling it review bombing, but I really do think that there are some things being said here that we do need to pay attention to. But according to this post right here, check it out. Battlefield 6 becomes the second lowest rated Battlefield title on Steam. And I think that is a controversial take. That's not entirely true at all. In fact, we got some replies calling that out, saying, funny, because I haven't had this much fun in a Battlefield game since Battlefield 1. And also, bullshit, RedSec is the lowest rated. Battlefield 6 has one of the highest ratings. And has a few downsides, and they need to fix some gadgets. But all in all, with 180 hours plus in it, I have fun with the game, as with all Battlefield games in the past. Besides the fixes that are needed, in my opinion, I do hope for some larger maps in the future besides the already announced ones. And I think that's also the core issue, is that, yes, we want bigger, larger maps. You know, and I was wondering also, hey, you know, are the recent negative reviews actually affecting the core player numbers? And the answer is no, not at all. We are really seeing strong concurrent player numbers for Battlefield 6 currently, and I think that is great. That also shows how Battlefield 6 is also having the staying power, despite the fact that, yes, we have competition creeping up on Battlefield 6 in the form of like Arc Raiders. I'm actually bouncing back and forth between both like Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6 just because there's such unique, different experiences, which is great to see. But anyway, let's get into some of these reviews and find out what's going on with the negative reviews in particular, and see what DICE can do to kind of like steer the ship. So check it out right here. From interest to great fun, that's how my first experience with Battlefield 6 went. And by the way, this one comes from Maxi Cross. The gameplay is good, but terribly chaotic, and the size and structure of the maps make it feel more like Call of Duty. You guys agree with that or not? I was having more and more fun, and I really hoped the game would develop it into something great. But then the first season dropped. The Battle Pass and the store were added in an update. The prices were astronomical, and it's clear what EA's priorities are. Interesting move. If the store had been available from the start, I would have returned this game. If you're considering buying it, don't. So, do you guys agree with the store prices currently? And you know, that's actually a really interesting point to bring up, considering that it was also pointed out that guess the sales aren't going well in the store currently because we have a massive sell going on right now, which a lot of players feel like, hey, you know what, just lower the prices permanently. This is ridiculous because they also feel like, hey, EA and DICE would actually earn more money if they just lowered the prices. I've seen this over and over again with games, and it's just wild. I really do feel like that these developers would see more success at lower prices. And We have some interesting replies here. So, sorry, but these skins are straight up embarrassing and lazy. The fact that half the camo skin gets removed when you put on your own attachment on makes them completely worthless, let alone how bland some of them are. This is actually a big problem right here. This 1000%, I'm not opposed to buying a nice looking skin in a game that I like, but why the fuck can't I kit a different mag silencer without losing half the skin? In some cases, not spending any money unless they fix it. So there's actually a real core issue here going on with the skins that definitely needs to be addressed. Some players are also concerned that they're going to lean into more wild, wacky skins. And someone actually came up with a great idea here that we have to talk about. Check it out. If they had throwback skins from previous Battlefield games, they'd sell well. I absolutely love this idea. Even if they had skins related to Bad Company 2, one of my personal favorite Battlefield games ever, that would be something I would absolutely go to the store for and check out. And there's also some other reviews in here mentioning that progression is broken through challenges. You know, DICE has done some updates with that and fine-tuned that as well, but it seems like there needs to be further updates to the overall system going forward. And one of the bigger worries here is, of course, that DICE would double down on focusing on Battle Royale instead of what Battlefield fans know and love, which, of course, is Conquest Mode again, and those core experiences like Rush Mode and the like. So, yeah, I get the concern for sure, the fact that some of these maps do feel way too small for a Battlefield game, but I'm really hoping that this next map added into rotation for Season 1 gives us some hope. I had a feeling that Battlefield 6 would run into a little bit of a speed bump here with Season 1 because of Blackwell not being particularly popular, which I don't know. Do you guys enjoy Blackwell? I'm wondering how they could potentially, update that map to make it more enjoyable. We'll see what DICE does with it, but I'm hoping that they're not done with that map. They do some stuff with it to actually update it. All right, so you guys know what time it is. It is time to go over your top comments. Be sure to leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video, so let's do this. And we're going to start out with this one right here. I want weather in the game. Nighttime raining would be amazing. And, I think of course, the more recent game that I've been playing with, I've been obsessed with it, is Ark Raiders. And on those maps, you get various night and day conditions, nighttime, even like electromagnetic storms. I'm not saying to take it that far. That would add a lot of replayability to go into like the same map space, different type of day, different type of weather system. That'd be cool. And next up, we got this one right here. Imagine if DICE released all Battlefield 3 and 4 maps on Black Ops 7 launch day. That would be so awesome and funny at the same time. That would be a badass move if DICE could pull that off. But I will say I would love to see those maps come to Battlefield 6, at least some of those maps. They're iconic. In fact, we had some ideas here from Unlocking Cran, who says this, that he would like to see Donovan Peak, Shanghai from Battlefield 4, and Nishar Canals. Dude, that last one, I remember that so much. That was one of my favorites, and that one in particular, I'd love to see supported officially. Of course, we're getting stuff with Portal, but still, visually, I really want to see DICE absolutely go absolutely batshit crazy with the visuals with these older maps. That'd be so cool. All right, so there it is. The latest happenings around Battlefield 6. Stay tuned here for more news and updates. I have you guys covered. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support, and I will see you all next time. Take care.